was a Saturday full of competition this past weekend. I'm Carla Metz, and welcome to Augustana All Access. October was welcomed with a strong Vikings lineup. Saturday started out with a soccer match on Morstead Field, the key to the city game inside Kirkby Over Stadium, and then Augustana signed off on the day with a volleyball game inside the Elman. And we're going to go over each of those matchups as well as talk about a new sport that's recently made a splash in athletics. But we want to start the show inside KO. Over 7,000 fans packed the stadium on Saturday, and although the outcome was not what Vikings fans were hoping for, the coaches say the effort given will come back to help them later in the season. The day started out with former Vikings head coach Jim Heinitz taking the field for a special ceremony. Augustana honored Heinitz and his family for their service and devotion to Vikings athletics by naming the turf Jim Heinitz Field. And as far as in-action highlights go, we start in the second quarter. The University of Sioux Falls was already up 21 points, but that didn't discourage the Vikings from fighting back. Charlie Hayes back in this week after recovering from a hand injury, and he catches this pass from Trey Hyde 7 yards out. This series gives Augustana 6. A special team shout out on USF's next drive on the coup 34 when the Vikings blocked this punt, which was recovered by Sam Plucker, and they were able to turn that drive into points. Trey Hyde completes a 3-yard pass to Nathan Merriam. Vikings would go into the half only down by 8, 21-13. Both teams would open up the third quarter in a strong defensive battle, but it'd be the coup that strikes first in the second half. After intercepting the Vikings ball in the red zone, Josh Angulo catches a 16-yard pass, stretching the lead 28-13. The fourth quarter opens up, Vikings ball 23 yards out, when USF's Cliff Redmond intercepts this pass, and the Cougars would go up 35-13 after Max Mickey breaks away from the pack for 42 yards. 8:25 left in the start of this drive. Caden Quintanilla gets the ball in back-to-back plays, running it in for an 11-yard touchdown. But the clock would not be on the Vikings side on Saturday. The Coup would run it down to the final minute in their next drive, reclaiming the key and a 35-20 victory. The Vikings are now 3-2 for the season, and up next we're going to talk turning points and takeaways from the Vikings loss. But before we do, let's take a look at this week's Vikings Vote question. Swimming has recently been added at Augustana. What was the last sport to join Augie Athletics? Your choices are A, soccer, B, volleyball, C, wrestling, and D, tennis. Stay with us till the end to find out the answer.
Augustana All Access on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Classic Import.
Welcome back to Augustana All Access. We've looked over a few highlights from the key to the city, but now it's time to review the turning points with Coach Jerry Olszewski. And Coach, one of the first things that stands out looking back over this game was just the physical nature of the game. A lot of hard hits on both sides of the ball and some injuries there too. But how do you think your team responded to that physicality?
Well, I think defensively we did a pretty good job with it. You know, they're a really good running football team, and we knew that they would throw it a little bit more. An explosive offense. I think our defensive kids, though we didn't play as physical as we wanted to, I thought we matched the physicality on that side of the ball. Offensively, not as much. You know, it turned into more of a street fight than anything else, and our kids didn't respond quite the way we needed to in order that kind of game, and we'll get better because of the experience, but I think it definitely played a factor a bit, and we're going to grow from it.
Right. And then as far as looking over the game film, what part of the game stands out to you as maybe the turning point? Was it in the first half where they took the lead, or the second half where the Vikings really tried to fight back more?
I think there's three. Really, I mean, spotting them 21 points, you know, 2 3-and-outs early, and and having them drive down and score 3 times certainly isn't setting yourself up for success. I think that a couple key factors, the block punt really helped us and set up field position, got us back in the football game, but then not converting on 3rd down and 4th down, in their territory. We could have gone in the locker room 21 and all, or 20-21. Third quarter was, just kind of a back and forth deal. But we threw a pick in the end zone and could have taken a lead at that point if you think about the 2 scores. I think those were the real turning points. And against good teams, you got to close out drives. You got to make the plays when they're there to be made. And we certainly had enough stops defensively to be able to take this game over offensively. So I think that's the real tale of the game. Right.
Even though a loss at the end of the game too, it's just you still try to pull out the positives. What were some positives that you're going to talk to your team about this week?
I think our kids kept their composure incredibly well. Very proud of them. how they kept themselves together in an atmosphere that they hadn't experienced, heck, that I haven't experienced in 25 years, something like that. So I thought that was really a good part of it. The other positives are the fight that they had. They kept around. We kept in the game, even down 21. We fought our way back in, and really until the last drive, never felt like we were really out of it yet. I mean, I thought we could move the ball. Losing Matt Heller really hurt, the fourth series of the game, but some other guys stepped up, and they're going to need to, throughout the season here.
Right, and then rivalry games, we know better than anyone, that brings out a lot of emotion, and we definitely saw that on the sideline during the game. But what was the attitude of your team after the game, and what was your message to them?
Dejection, by them, and hurt, and the things that should naturally go with it. That's 2 losses in a row that, the first one stung because of how it happened late in the game, and the second one now, just didn't get over the hump. Denver really got in the driver's seat of this game. And my message to them was, in life, things don't always go your way. In life, people don't always play by the rules. You have to find a way to persevere and move up above, what someone else does, and be the better person in it. I'm proud of them, but that lesson learned will serve them well 30 years down the road when someone else wrongs them and it doesn't quite go their way. We gotta rise up, and as people become better. And these young men are great kids. They're going to be great leaders in society. We're going to be a good football team, and we'll finish this thing out. I would love to win out and play them again. I can promise you that.
Definitely, and hopefully that helps even later in the season too. But putting this past week behind us and looking ahead, you're going to play Wayne State, who's 2-3. They're coming off of 2 straight wins. They've got a pretty good quarterback and a talented defensive end. But what other challenges do the Wildcats bring this week?
Well, we've always struggled with them a little bit. Number one, we had a heck of a ball game there a couple years ago at their place, and Zach Osborne is a very good quarterback. He can sling it, and they've always had explosive players. They'll get it up and down the field and spread you out. Offensively, defensively, they'll move a whole bunch. They'll tilt and slant and move the front, and with a couple pressures added to that. So they're going to present challenges. They're on a 2-game winning streak. We're on a 2-game losing streak. We got to turn that around. So I think they're feeling good about themselves and feeling hot, rightfully so. We're going to have to play good, disciplined football, and I want to see some passion out of our club, bouncing back from this game that obviously hurt, losing at home for the first time in 8 games.
Right. All right, Coach. Well, thanks again for joining us this week. And again, that game is at 1 p.m. and you can find all the live stats and updates at goaugie.com. Well, up next we have a new team within athletics to talk about. We'll have that and much more after the break. Welcome back to Augustana All Access. The athletic department has welcomed a new sport for the 2016-17 season. Women's swimming has been added. And although they haven't officially started conference play, Midco Sports was there for their first intra-squad scrimmage. Here's an introduction to the newest members of the Vikings family.
Okay, Mark. Go. It's funny because 10 years ago I was in Sioux Falls coaching club, and I always thought that Augustana should have a swimming program.
I suppose you're sort of building the legacy of the Augie Swim Club, and you can do that by yourself because there's no one that's been swimming there before you.
When I saw that they were adding the sport, it's like, it's time for me to come back home and see if this is a good opportunity.
I suppose it's just exciting to be able to pave the way. We got to make new team chants that had never been used before, and everything was being decided by us. We got a lot more say in the team since it was new.
We are a very high freshman oriented. We have 14 freshmen, 3 upperclassmen, so 17 total, kind of from all over the country. A lot of Midwesterners, but also reaching out to other areas as well.
It gives us the mentality of coming into it. Like, there's no kind of standard where we have to start off at. We kind of get to make our own, so we all are like pushing ourselves to do the best we can and set higher standards for those girls who do come in, and for all the recruits who do get to see us. We try and show us that we're not something to be messed with, I guess. We're not, just because we're a first-year team doesn't mean that we're not important.
It's exciting. There's so many new things, between, the things that we've done with the facility, ordering new starting blocks, a scoreboard, just a lot of that. And then just getting out and getting the name Augustana known on the swimming side of things. And usually when I talk to recruits, the thing I talk about is Augustana is really well known on the Division II level in other sports. But swimming not being a kind of the hotbed in South Dakota, you have to get out and kind of let the name be known.
It's actually really exciting. It was one of the reasons why I chose to go to Augie, because I had the opportunity to be part of a first-year swim team. and I was actually the first recruit to come and visit here at Augie for swimming. So that was also another exciting thing, to meet a new coach and have that new team feeling.
And I showed up here and it kind of just felt like home. Like I came on like a half-day visit. We scheduled it in a week. Like she reached out to me right before my high school season started, and I mean, I don't know, it felt like home. And Lindsay was a really great person. She gave me a great vibe as a coach. Like I really wanted to swim for her, and the idea of being a first-year team, I guess, was pretty cool to me. And so later that night when I got home, I told my parents, I'm like, I'm gonna commit here. And so I called her back. I'm like, okay, well, I wanted to make it official, so it wasn't even like 24 hours, it was more like 10. But I think it was the best decision I could have made.
I was pleasantly surprised with the level of swimmers that we got, as well as the number. I think they're excited to get up and start seeing where they can race. I always tell myself I'm super competitive, so the competitive side of me says, you know, I want to compete at the top level right away, but the other side of me knows that it's also a process as well. I think on the top end we'll be competitive. The thing that we're lacking is just a little bit of depth.
I personally want to make it to NCAAs, and I know there's a couple girls on the team who do as well, whether that be individual or in a relay. We really don't care as long as we make it there. Like that's our goal, is to make it there.
A lot of the girls had big goals, not necessarily team goals, I think, since there hasn't been anything to compare to, but a lot of the girls have an idea of where they want to be and where they're shooting for, so we're all trying to work up to those goals. I think the fact that a lot of the girls are so close, especially because there's no previous cliques in the team, and I think it's all one sort of cohesive group. Since everyone's new, a lot of the girls are freshmen as well, so I think that makes it really special and also unique as far as Augie teams go. You
would never guess they've only been together for 3.5 weeks. They've really meshed well, you know, doing a great job in workouts, strength and conditioning. I know they're a little sore and tired, but kind of getting used to college life it has been a lot.
I'm very excited. It'll be interesting to see where everyone is, because we have been trying to build up fitness for this past month or so, because everyone's been on summer and hasn't been training as much. So it'll be really, really great to get back into competing and sort of set the benchmark for where we're going to go this season.
Head coach Lindsay Midco is actually a native from Brookings, South Dakota, but she comes to Augustana from Texas, where she spent the last 4 years coaching the First Colony swim team. During her time there, she was nominated for the Gulf Swimming Age Group Coach of the Year and coached athletes in multiple USA Swimming Top 10 performances. And looking at the roster, you'll also notice a very young team. 15 out of the 17 swimmers are freshmen and 2 are sophomores, so a lot for Coach Midco to build on in the next few years. As far as the schedule goes for the team, the Vikings open up their season with a trip to Aberdeen to take on Northern State and the University of Mary. That meet will take place on Friday, October 7th. Up next, we check in on soccer and volleyball, who both found success at home this past weekend. Welcome back to Augustana All Access. The Vikings volleyball team continues to make a statement. After being picked 6th in the NSIC, Augustana is determined more than ever to prove that poll wrong. The Vikings entered the week with 5 straight conference wins and also cracked the top 10 in the AVCA poll as the number 8 team, and they'd prove that number right after shutting out 2 more conference teams. The Vikings start out the weekend with the University of Mary. A longer volley here with a shot fired by the Marauders. Taylor Wilson gets the save, set nicely by Anna Sikora, and then Ashley Wilson finishes the volley with a kill. Here we see a quicker kill from junior Bailey Cook, who finishes the match with 7 kills and 6 blocks. Next, it's Anna Sikora from the serving line. She aces this one in the 3rd set to put Augie up 19-17. That'd give Augustana 8 aces for the night. And here we see a great dig by Wilson, and her teammates take it from there. Danny Magis puts it away 23-15 after the point, and Augustana rolls over UMary 3-0. The final set scores for that match: Augustana won 25-19, 25-18, and 25-19. Courtney Place led the Vikings with a match-high 12 kills. She added 4 digs, 4 blocks, and 1 service ace against the Marauders. This game also gave Vikings volleyball their 900th win in program history, which is quite an accomplishment all on its own. But the win also kept the Vikings perfect against the Marauders, giving them their 14th win by way of sweep. Anna Sikora, Taylor Banks, and Bailey Cook all had match-high performances. Sikora with 34 assists, Banks with 14 digs, and Cook with 6 blocks. Augie took on the Beavers on Saturday night, and they'd win the first 2 sets in dominant fashion, 25-18 and 25-15. Minot State made it closer in the third, but the Vikings would keep sweeping with a set win of 25-22. Bailey Cook was the Viking of the match, leading the team with a career-high 7 blocks. She also had 8 kills on 14 attacks and 3 digs. The win over Minot State gives them their 7th straight win, and it's the first time in program history that the Vikings have started 7-0 in conference play. Alex Banker started her first match of the season and totaled 37 assists. Hannah Justinson had a match-high 13 kills, and Taylor Banks led in digs once again with 14. Those wins bump up the Vikings from number 8 in the AVCA poll to number 6, and they have the opportunity to keep climbing. They travel to Rapid City this week to take on Black Hill State and the South Dakota School of Mines, and then they'll return to conference play on October 7th.
More so than that, if you asked our team, what's our goal? We want to win the next point. That's all we train for. That's what we do during the week, is win that next point. And we have a next point mentality. So our girls have really embraced that, and it's really paid off so far this season.
The soccer team also secured 2 more conference wins. They took on Minnesota State Moorhead on Saturday morning. The first goal came early by Ellie Knowles just 7 minutes in, and there would be another successful stretch of 7 minutes in the second half. 3 goals were scored between the 72nd minute and the 79th by Julie Plonsky, Claire Dom, and Riley Close. Vikings take down the Dragons 4-0. Reigning NSIC goalie of the week, Taylor Mahacek notched her 3rd consecutive shutout and recorded 1 save. Callie Nordberg led offensively with 4 shots and 2 shots on goal. And that winning performance would carry over against Northern State on Sunday, October 2nd. Augustana hosts Northern State on Morstead Field. The Wolves would score first at the start of the second half, but Augie's Rebecca Gasper would answer a little later using her head, getting an assist from Emily Jacobson. The Wolves and the Vikings take the tie into overtime. This time it's Gasper that assists with the goal, and Julie Plonsky buries it in a little over 2 minutes in. The Vikings win 2-1.
The Vikings have now won 5 straight matches, remaining perfect at home, and their overall record improves to 6-3-1. They'll travel to St. Paul to take on Concordia St. Paul on October 7th, followed by a 3-game homestand. After the break, we head to the Minnehaha Country Club in Sioux Falls to see how women's golf is faring in the Super Regional Fall Preview.
Augustana All Access on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Classic Import.
Welcome back to Augustana All Access. The women's golf team hasn't placed below 10th in a tournament all year, and they're just coming off a first-place finish in SMSU's Mustang Invitational. But will they stay near the top when it counts? We found the team mid-tournament in Sioux Falls on Monday, competing in the Super Regional Fall Preview.
Through the first day, the Vikings not only stay near the top, but they take a commanding lead. Augustana's Jordan Boardman leads the team and the tournament after shooting 3 over par, 74 through 18 holes. She birdied number 6 and number 9 on the front, and then parred 7 of the back 9 for a 2-stroke lead. But Boardman wasn't the only one with a top finish for the day. Teammates Emily Israelson and Sierra Langley are tied right behind Boardman for second place. Israelson was 3 over par through 9 holes, and then added a birdie on a 505-yard par 5. Langley made par on 5 straight holes on the front. Heading into the back 9 at 3 over par, she bogeyed 10, but then found back-to-back birdies on hole number 11 and 12. Callie Troutman had a great birdie putt on number 8, finishing the front 9 4 over par, and she'd keep that consistent, going 4 over par on the back, shooting 8 over par for the day with a score of 79. The second and final round of the tournament was scheduled for Tuesday, October 4th, but because of inclement weather, the results from day 1 stand as the final results. Jordan Boardman leads the pack with a score of 3 over par, 74, and she's joined by 4 others in the top 8. Israelson and Langley tied at 5 over par, 76, and then Sydney Weber and Callie Troutman follow in 6th and 8th place respectively. As far as team scores go, Augustana beat 10 other teams with a 21 over par score of 305.
The next closest to them is Northwest Missouri State, shooting 38 over par, 322, and Winona State trailed 8 shots behind the Bearcats. For a full rundown of the scores, check out the final results on GoAuggie.com. The Vikings are almost through their fall schedule. The next tournament begins on October 10th. They travel to Maryville, Missouri to play in Northwest Missouri State's Midwest Classic Golf Tournament, and that will run through October 11th.
It's very important for us. You know, in the spring, it's the top 12 teams in the region, and 4 individuals get to compete here at Minnehaha. We are hopeful that we'll be one of those top 12 teams in the region. So we'll get a chance to come back here and compete, and I think it's awesome that we get to play here now, to get 3 rounds under our belts to kind of see what this golf course is going to play like.
It's time now to reveal this week's Vikings vote answer. Since swimming has recently been added at Augustana, we asked what was the last sport to join Augie Athletics. Your choices were soccer, volleyball, wrestling, and tennis. The correct answer this week is A. Augustana soccer was added last in 2000. And for the Vikings Player of the Week, we turn our attention back to the court. We've seen a lot from Bailey Cook these past few weeks with kills and blocks, but it was her defensive grit that puts her at the top this week. Cook was named the NSIC Defensive Player of the Week after her performance against UMary and Minot State. This is the first time Cook has been given the honor. She put up a total 13 blocks, averaging over 2 blocks per set through 2 matches. She's already led the Vikings in blocks 10 times this season, and we know we'll see much more from the junior in the future. Congrats to Cook and the Vikings, who are continuing to knock off NSIC opponents. Well, that's all we have for you inside Augie Athletics this week. Join us next week for another episode of Augustana All Access.